thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. It is an honor to be joined by Colonel Oscar Perez, Chief of the Providence Police Department, Diana Garlington, a friend of mine, Secretary of the Rhode Island Coalition of Gun Violence, and someone who is a real inspiration to many of us who have been in this struggle for gun safety in Rhode Island for a long time, and Melissa Cardin representing the coalition as well. And all of you for coming. I know it's a busy day, but this is important. We are marking the beginning of Gun Safety Awareness Month, the month of June, by reintroducing a bill called the Prevent Illegal Gun Sales Act. I'm introducing this bill again to call attention to an important part of the gun safety conversation that I think too often gets left out, which is that more than 90% of the guns that are recovered in crime scenes in this country can be traced back to about 5% of gun dealers. So while most gun dealers, I assume, are doing the right thing, performing background checks, making sure that they are following the law, all it takes is a relatively small number of dealers to not do the right thing, to sell guns under the table illegally, to fail to perform background checks, to falsify records, to purposely sell firearms to people who aren't supposed to have them. A relatively small number of bad dealers who don't follow the law can do a tremendous amount of damage. And we have a gun violence problem in this country. Schools, movie theaters, grocery stores, places of worship, nightclubs, and more public spaces have become increasingly vulnerable to gun violence because of the flood of illegal guns in the hands of people who are not supposed to have them. On the Homeland Security Committee in the House of Representatives, I'm the ranking member for counterterrorism, intelligence, and law enforcement, and I see the impact of illegal gun sales every day in the stories of people who write to our committee, who reach out with heartbreaking stories, oftentimes, again, due to firearms that were in the hands of people who were not supposed to have them. This bill will crack down on illegal sales of firearms to people who aren't supposed to have them by authorizing more frequent inspections of firearms dealers, increasing the penalties for serious offenses like failing to perform federal background checks, and strengthening the Department of Justice's authority and discretion in enforcing the laws at the dealer level. We must equip law enforcement and federal agencies like the Department of Justice with the tools that they need to hold bad dealers accountable. And I think most people would be surprised to know that federal agencies like the ATF are, under the law, prevented from inspecting dealers oftentimes more than once a year, even if that dealer has a pattern and a history of illegal sales being traced back to them. That oftentimes failing to follow the law, failing to perform background checks, failing to keep adequate records as required under the law results in only a slap in the wrist, maybe a small fine, when repeat offenders ought to be held accountable and ultimately shut down. So as we enter Gun Violence Awareness Month, this is, I believe, one piece of the puzzle for how we can reduce gun violence in our state and in this country. And again, we are not targeting here the people who are following the law and doing the right thing. This is all about cracking down on those who are breaking the law. So with that, I want to introduce somebody who knows something about keeping Rhode Islanders safe by cracking down on people who are breaking the law, Chief Perez.
Thank you. Thank you, Congressman. Thank you for your leadership and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'll tell you that it's a proud moment for us as I speak on behalf of the Providence Police Department, that we understand the impact that this legislation will make when it comes to reducing crime and violent crime in our city. As the congressman stated, there's many businesses and dealers that are doing the right thing by following the law, but there's others that haven't. And I think that the reintroduction of this legislation will ensure that those that are not following the law will be held accountable by giving the federal agencies the authority and the regulations to be able to inspect more and make sure that they actually are held accountable. In the same token, it will allow the police department to continue the great work that we do, and I'll tell you that our numbers continue to drop. It's 40% shooting victims are down. Our shootings are down. Use of firearm during crime of violence is down 27%. And I know that for a fact that we welcome this legislation, and we understand that the impact that it will make in the city of Providence, as well as nationwide. So thank you very much, Congressman. It's proud for me to stand here to support you. Thank you.
I'd now like to introduce again a friend, an inspiration, someone who has turned her own tragedy into action and has inspired a lot of change here at the local level in Rhode Island, my friend Diana Garlington.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. My name is Diana Garlington, and I am here today as a mother whose life was forever changed by gun violence. I want to speak to you not just with statistics or policy, but with the truth of lived experience. Because I lost my daughter Essence T. Crystal to gun violence when she was only 21 years old. Essence was full of life, bold, compassionate, and full of dreams. She had so much more to give to this world, and in one moment, one senseless act, her life was taken. Since that day, my family and I have been living a different kind of life. One marked by grief, unanswered questions, and the constant ache of absence. But this is not just my story. There are thousands of families like mine, mothers, fathers, siblings, and children left to pick up the pieces with no roadmap, no support, and often no justice. After the sirens fade and the news cycle moves on, we're still here. We're still navigating the trauma, fighting for healing, and trying to survive in the world. When we talk about gun violence, we often stop at blaming the person who pulled the trigger. But we have to go deeper. We have to talk about the gun itself, how it got in that person's hands, and who allowed that to happen. Because my daughter's death wasn't just also the result of a system that allowed the weapon to be accessed in the first place, this too often acts like our loss is just another number. This bill finally recognizes what families like mine have known all along, that the effects of gun violence don't end at the tragedy. That's why I strongly support H.R. 3863, the Keeping Gun Dealers Honest Act. This bill is about accountability, not just for those who commit violence, but for the gun dealers who profit from cutting corners, ignoring regulations, and turning a blind eye to where their firearms end up. This legislation does what our system should have done a long time ago. It is not enough to prosecute the shooter. We must also prevent the sale, because behind almost every stolen life is a weapon that passed through someone's hands. Someone who made a choice or looked the other way, or prioritized profit over people. Essence should be here today. She should be living her dreams, not being remembered in testimony. Essence should have witnessed her son walk across the stage. She should have been here to help him pick out his suit for his junior and senior prom. She should be here to celebrate his upcoming 20th birthday. She should be here. If we want to stop this cycle, we need to start holding the entire chain accountable, from the trigger to the transaction, to the table where the weapon was sold. Please support Representative Seth Magaziner's bill, but not only for Essence, but for every family who deserves a future untouched by gun violence. I leave you with a look at it in this way. A bullet ends the conversation, but only because someone close to A bullet ends the conversation, but only because someone chose to silence it. It carries no will of its own only weight of the one who pulled the trigger. Thank you.
So this is a big week in the gun safety world in Rhode Island. We understand that there will likely be a vote in the state level House Judiciary Committee this week on an assault weapons ban, which is something that many of us have supported and worked for a long time. And in recent years, there have been a string of victories for public safety in Rhode Island. The ban on high-capacity magazines, the red flag law, and more. And all of that work is only possible because here in Rhode Island, there are so many committed volunteers, people who have shown up, who have advocated, who have gone to the State House, who have called their elected officials over and over and over again, tirelessly, in order to keep people safe. And I want to give a shout out to Moms Demand Action for all of their incredible work, and also the Rhode Island Coalition Against Gun Violence, who have been tremendous advocates at the state level and now at the federal level as well. And so I'd like to invite Melissa up to speak on behalf of the coalition.
Thank you, Representative Magaziner, Colonel Perez, Diana, for being gun safety champions, for caring about our communities, and doing all you can to keep our families safe from gun violence. We do this work because we don't want anyone to suffer the way Diana has, and the countless other survivors and family members. As a society, we failed Diana and her daughter Essence, taken too soon by senseless gun violence. We honor Essence with our action today and every day. Representative Magaziner knows we don't have to live this way. In fact, no other developed country does. And we appreciate him taking action with this common sense legislation. There's no one answer in the fight against gun violence, but this is an important step in holding bad actor gun dealers responsible for the carnage that ensues when they break the law. Here in Rhode Island, as the Congressman said, we're fighting for an assault weapons ban, which is another common sense measure which will keep our communities safer. Our fight federally and locally is more important than ever, with the current administration rolling back so many gun safety measures. Shannon Watts, the founder of Moms Demand Action, would always say, this work is a marathon, not a sprint, and that is the truth. But we have no choice, knowing that guns are the #1 killer of children and teens in this country. We must continue to fight and put people before gun manufacturers and their profits. We're on the right side of history. Thank you again to everyone who's fighting for public safety.
So in terms of next steps, I will be reintroducing the bill this week when I go back to Washington tomorrow. We have a companion bill that is being introduced in the Senate by Senator Markey from Massachusetts. And we're going to push hard on it. It's obviously right now at a time in Washington where the majority party that is in control of Congress is not receptive to our calls for gun safety generally. But I have to say, if we're going to get anything done on gun safety in Washington, this, to me, is a very common sense measure. We are not introducing any new restrictions in this bill. We are not introducing any new restrictions on what gun owners can own or on what dealers can sell. All that we are doing is saying enforce the law. Enforce the laws already on the books. Crack down on those dealers, the relatively small number of dealers who are doing the wrong thing and selling guns to people who aren't supposed to have them. Who could be against that? Who could be against enforcing the law so that people who are not supposed to have guns are not able to get them? And so that's what this bill is all about. It's about addressing this fundamental problem that most of the guns that are used in crimes can be traced back to a relatively small number of dealers who are not doing the right thing, not performing the background checks, not doing the right record keeping, not taking the necessary steps to ensure that guns don't get into the hands of the wrong people. So with that, I want to thank everyone who is here for their partnership, for their advocacy,